On tonight's episode of Sports Paws, we have the highlights of the men's hockey team in action against two ranked opponents.
And we also take a look at how both basketball teams fared this week as the playoffs draw closer.
Stay tuned. Sports Paws starts right now.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Sports Paws. I'm Tom Albanese and joined alongside me is the talented sports mind, Connor Voss.
Tom, I appreciate the compliment, but the real talent lies with the athletes here.
Well, right you are, Connor, and some of those athletes play on the men's basketball team and they have been on such a tear of late.
They absolutely have, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, the men's ice hockey team has faltered pretty badly of late. So let's see how they did this weekend.
Coming off a 4-0 victory against Yale and a 4-2 loss to Brown on their last road trip, the men's ice hockey team began their final two home games of the season against the number 13 nationally ranked Big Red of Cornell. The Bobcats defeated the Big Red in Ithaca, New York, 3-0 back on November 2nd. The Bobcats came into the weekend ranked as the number 5 team in the nation. And let's head right up to High Point Solutions Arena as QU takes on Cornell in this big ECAC game. Now, as we go in the first period, Cornell's John McCarron is going to pass over to Joaquin Ryan, who shoots, but a nice save by Michael Gartic. Now it's Quinnipiac's turn on the offensive end as Matthew Pekka is going to get the puck. He shoots, but a nice quick save by Andy Isles of Cornell. Now, later on in the first period, Quinnipiac is going to get on the board as Connor Clifton's shot is no good, but Tommy's shot cleans up the rebound and scores for the Bobcats. QU takes a 1-0 lead. Now, just a minute later, Cornell is going to respond quickly. That's Joaquin Ryan with a quick shot, and he ties the game for the Big Red. Now, we're going to go right to the second period, and Sam Annis is going to turn the puck over, and Brian Ferlin is going to take it all the way for the score for the Big Red. They lead 2-1, but Rand Pecknell was not happy on that play.
It was unacceptable. You can't win games or win playoff games when you turn the puck over like that. We had to get it. You had 4 guys at the line.
Now let's jump right into the third period. Quinnipiac is going to have a couple opportunities. Derek Smith with a quick shot, but it's just off the post. Quinnipiac still trailing by 1. And about 6 minutes later, Devon Taves, the same kind of shot, and that just goes off the post. Quinnipiac still trailing 2-1. And just with 2 minutes left in the game, Rand Pecknell pulls Michael Gartic with the empty net, and they're just not going to be able to get it done. Sam Annis can't get the goal on the wide open net, and Quinnipiac falls 2-1 to Cornell. Here's Q30 Sports' Maury Hirschgordon, who has more on the team's loss.
A packed High Point Solutions Arena energized Quinnipiac on Friday night, but despite recording 41 shots, the Bobcats could not muster up more than 1 goal. Head coach Rand Pecknold was disappointed in the way his team played.
We had some great looks with half-empty nets. We just didn't finish, and ultimately, we had some issues defensively at times and gave up. Even though it was only 14 shots, you can't give up breakaways.
For us, it's just cleaning up the mistakes and playing Bobcat hockey.
After the lone Bobcats goal by Tommy Shutt in the first period, Cornell struck back to tie the game at 1, 49 seconds later, off a wrister from Joaquin Ryan. Cornell took a 2-1 lead in the second period off a Brian Ferling goal and never looked back. Cornell goaltender Andy Isles was integral for the Big Red as he made tremendous saves all night. Coach Rand Pecknold was extremely impressed by the Big Red goaltender.
Well, he's the best player on the ice, and he won the game for him.
The Bobcats had plenty of chances all night, but could never capitalize. Both Derek Smith and Devon Taves had shots that fired off the post in the latter part of the game, and Sam Annis was unable to put home a rebound in front on an open net.
Shots are overrated. Isles is a good first save goaltender, and we had a couple opportunities there in the third, and even before that, and missed the net. And against a goaltender like Isles, you got to capitalize on your chances, and we just couldn't do that tonight.
The Bobcats have a chance to right the ship tomorrow night, but are not known to be the strongest on Saturdays.
We have a tendency to come out a little flat on Saturdays, so we definitely have something to prove.
The Bobcats have not played their best hockey as of late on Saturday nights, with their last Saturday night victory coming over RPI on January 11th. In order to avoid losing their second straight game, they look to defeat Colgate on senior night. Here from the TD Bank Sports Center, I'm Mari Hirsch-Gordon, Q30 Sports.
And the very next day, Quinnipiac went on to play Colgate at home. Midway through the first period now. Quinnipiac on a rush. Bryce Van Braben receives the pass coming around. He shoots it and good! No goal. Bryce Van Braben gets called for the holding and the game remains tied 0-0. Second period now. Tyler Spink skates from behind the net, carries it himself and rips it over Michael Garding's shoulder. Colgate goes up 1-0. Later in the second period though, Bobcats on a power play. Devontae is over to Matthew Pecker, who rips it. Connor Jones deflects it in, and the game is tied 1-1 now.
Such an amazing shot on that quick shot right there.
Lucky deflection too there. Later in the period, Bobcats defending a 5-minute major penalty. Spink skates up to the point, but Gardig with the glove save. Game still tied 1-1. Third period now. Spink wasn't done yet. He says, "This isn't soccer. Stop kicking the puck," and puts it in the back of the net like a real hockey player. Colgate goes up 2-1. Later in the third period now, the Bobcats with an empty net. Kevin Loft puts the puck up ice and earns the empty net goal. Colgate goes and wins 3-1. Here's head coach Rand Pecknold with the postgame. Tough loss there.
Certainly a disappointing loss. You know, we're just a mess right now with injuries, and we got multiple guys hurt in that game. Then we get Connor Clifton DQ on a DQ game misconduct thrown out of the game. So it just caused all kinds of chaos. But you know, we didn't go the way we wanted. I thought our guys battled hard, and we had to move 2 forwards back to play defense. You know, I did like our grit and our battle level, and we killed off those penalties. But you know, we're struggling to score goals right now.
There was a lot of movement in the ECAC this weekend. Union clinched the top spot in the conference while Colgate jumped above Quinnipiac to take the second spot. The Bobcats sit in third, but only 1 point ahead of Cornell, who sits in fourth. Yale is 2 points behind Cornell in fifth, while Clarkson is a point behind Yale in sixth. RPI, Brown, and St. Lawrence sit in seventh, eighth, and ninth, while Dartmouth, Princeton, and Harvard bring up the rear.
The pairwise rankings for the men's hockey was updated this afternoon. The pairwise, now remember, is a mathematical ranking that determines the seeding for the NCAA tournament. The Bobcats dropped 2 spots to 7th in the new rankings. St. Cloud State and Wisconsin moved up past Quinnipiac to take 5th and 6th respectively. Boston College, Minnesota, Ferris State, and Union remain in the top 4 spots.
The men go on the road for their final weekend of the season. First, they travel to Canton, New York to take on the St. Lawrence Saints. The Saints defeated the Bobcats at the bank last weekend, starting their current 3-game losing streak. They will travel the following day to Potsdam to take on the Clarkson Golden Knights in a rematch of their February 7th matchup, where the Bobcats won 6-3. Now, Tom, we're going to bring in our hockey analyst, Marty Joseph, to give us his thoughts on the men's ice hockey team. Marty, how you doing?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
No problem.
The team's lost 3 in a row now. What's going on with the men's team?
Well, I think it looks, right now, it looks a lot worse than it really is, guys. Sure, it's disappointing to drop 3 in a row, but these are teams that have historically given them a lot of trouble. And the way that the way the teams that have been playing of late, it's not something that's completely out of the question either. You look at Friday night, the opportunities were there, and against a goaltender like Andy Isles, when you hit 2 posts and you miss 2 empty nets in the third period, you got to capitalize on plays like that, because that was ultimately the difference. Those pucks go about an inch more in either way, and that could be a 4-5-1 win for Quinnipiac, 5-2, sorry. But defensively, I still think that's where they got to clean it up. You look at the goals on both nights, guys getting open in the slot for easy wristers, two breakdowns in plays where Furlan had a breakaway from the blue line, and he's a draft pick of the Boston Bruins. He's going to get that goal 9 times out of 10. And then the goal by Tyson Spink in that second period, he can't have that kind of space in front of Gartig. Those are just plays that you got to clean up defensively. It's a young defense, yeah, but this point in the season, they need to be cleaning those up and making those plays.
Yeah, Marty, I just couldn't agree with you more about those defensive issues over the past 2 games. Now, as I mentioned this weekend, the 2 losses dropped them all the way down to 7th in the pairwise rankings, which makes them now a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. So how will this affect their championship hopes down the stretch, Marty?
It's not as big as some may see. I mean, I know the last year they're so used to being up in the top 5 or 6 of the pairwise the way they've played. So I think now that they're finally out of that top 5, I think people are getting a little bit too nervous too quickly here. They just got to get in. And you saw it last year. Yale's the perfect example of it. They got in, they were the last team in, and they win the national championship. So at this point, it doesn't matter where they are standing. You just want to be playing your best hockey. They want to put a much better effort in the ECAC playoffs and just be feeling good about yourselves when you're in that tournament. Because realistically, you just have to get in, and you have to win 4 games.
All right, well, for them to win in the playoffs, what has to change for them going forward?
Well, I think first of all, the biggest thing is getting that first round bye, and they only need to win 1 game to lock that up this weekend. They control their own destiny. They're going up and playing 2 teams that are tough to beat, but I mean, you look at it and it's a motivation that they should be able to do. They get that first round bye, it's going to be huge because this team's really banged up. Jordan Samuels-Thomas has been out for the last couple of weeks. Danny Federico left the game against Colgate, so we don't know how long he's going to be out. And the way that the teams of the Bobcats have played over the last couple of weeks have really been physical, demanding games, and teams that have banged them up a little bit. So I think that's the first step. And then after that, you got a home playoff series, and then it's 2 out of 3 there before you're up in Lake Placid. And I think anything can happen up there. I think it's anyone's game as long as you get up there, and then moving down the street. I think they just need to clean up defensively though overall. They got the goaltending they needed this weekend. The mistakes that they made defensively cost them 5 goals. And I mean, everyone's going to run into a weekend where the offense struggles a little bit. They're still one of the best teams offensively in the nation, so they'll figure it out.
Well, Marty, we appreciate you coming in with all your hockey knowledge. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. And when we return to Sports Paws, it's time for some basketball. We'll find out if the winning streak for the men's basketball team continued, and we will check out all the action for the women's team and their action on Saturday against St. Peter's. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
The men's basketball team traveled to upstate New York this past weekend, looking to continue their 5-game winning streak against Canisius. The last time the Bobcats lost a game was at home against Canisius. Despite Billy Barron's 31 points, the Bobcats won 88-81, extending their streak to 6 games. The Bobcats then traveled to Niagara to play the Purple Eagles. This one came down to the final seconds. Ike Azatam threw a long inbound up the court, which ended up in the hands of Umar Shannon. Shannon knocked down the 3-pointer at the buzzer, and the Bobcats won 90-88 and extended their winning streak to 7 games. Shannon's shot also earned him a spot on ESPN SportsCenter's Top 10 Plays. Now, let's take a look at the MAAC standings. Iona sits in first thanks to their 11-game win streak. Quinnipiac's 2 wins over the weekend put them in sole possession of 2nd place. Manhattan dropped to 3rd with a loss of Siena, while Canisius sits in 4th. Behind them are Ryder and Siena, who are in a tie for 5th, with Marist a game behind. Both teams in 7th. St. Peter's follows Marist, with Monmouth, Fairfield, and Niagara at the bottom of the group.
Now, Connor, let's take a little shift and go over the women's hockey. The women's ice hockey team, they had a very successful weekend. It started at the #3 ranked Cornell on Friday. The Big Red held a 1-0 lead through the first 2 periods, but the Bobcats came back in the 3rd behind goals from freshman Emma Woods and senior Kelly Babstock. Quinnipiac would go on to win 2-1 on Saturday. The Bobcats then traveled to Colgate to take on the Raiders. Quinnipiac scored 3 unanswered goals to go on and win 3-0. The story of this game was senior Kelly Babstock. Babstock made history with her assist off of Cheyenne Darkangelo's second period goal. The assist brings her career total to 200 points. And with those 2 wins, the Bobcats clinched the 4th seed in the ECAC standings. Clarkson clinched the regular season title with 36 points, ending Cornell's 4-year reign at the top of the conference. Harvard and Cornell finished in 2nd and 3rd place respectively. Now the Bobcats will host the Saints of St. Lawrence in the ECAC Quarterfinals starting on Friday, February 28th at 7 p.m.
The new pairwise rankings are out for the women as well, and Minnesota leads the group with their 32-1-1 record. Behind them, Wisconsin sits in 2nd. ECAC leading Clarkson is in 3rd, while Harvard is right behind them in 4th. Boston College and Cornell sit in 5th and 6th respectively, while Robert Morris and Mercyhurst are in 7th and 8th. Despite their win at Cornell, Quinnipiac remains in 9th. North Dakota, the only team to defeat Minnesota this season, rounds out the top 10.
Now let's shift over to the women's basketball team as they continued MAAC play on the road against Siena. The Bobcats defeated the Saints 76-66 to improve to 17-10 overall and 12-5 in MAAC play. Quinnipiac trailed for a majority of the game, but a late second-half run led to the victory. Brittany McQueen earned her 3rd straight double-double, scoring 14 points and grabbing 14 rebounds. Jasmine Martin and Samantha Guastella finished with 11 points apiece.
Now coming off that win at Siena, the Bobcats look to get another win against the Peacocks of St. Peter's. Quinnipiac was looking for their 3rd win in a row. Let's see how they did. Now, Tom, you brought up a late second-half run. Similar theme here in the game against St. Peter's on senior night at Lender Court. There's Brittany McQueen walking between the players. All of them got their pictures taken with their families and official people before the game. In the first half now, both teams off to a slow start. Brittany McQueen dumps the pass off to Samantha Guastella, who misses the layup. However, St. Peter's now, Caden Bent misses the jump shot, and the game remains tied. However, later, Bobcats on a run. Boo Abshire dumps it off to McQueen, who hits the layup. Now Abshire again, long 2 from Jasmine Martin. That drops, and the Bobcats go up 9-3. However, St. Peter's goes on a run. And Ronia Smith drives and makes the jump shot, and St. Peter's ties 14-14. St. Peter's continues the run. Aziza May knocks down a 3-pointer, and St. Peter's goes up 22-16. Later now, Aziza May passes to Teresa Corchado, this time for the 3-point basket, and the St. Peter's Peacocks lead the Bobcats 28-21 halftime. Going on to the half, though, it's all Bobcats. Maria Napolitano jabs for the 3-pointer. Bobcats lead 31-28. Boo Abshire taking the ball up now, passes to Cameron Warner, who gets it lefty and 1. Bobcats lead St. Peter's 44-35. Now Jasmine Martin drives right, dishes out to Boo Abshire, who gets 3/4 of her points on the game in that basket right there. Bobcats go up 52-35 and go on to win 67-44. Here's Coach Trisha Fabry with more.
Again, it seems to be a little bit of our MO how we're playing games these days. Really slow in the first half, much better offensively in the second half. For 40 minutes, I liked our defensive effort and performance. 21%, I think, from the floor first half, 56% in the second half. So very similar to up at Siena, and I think we were all getting ourselves really worked out up. And I know as a head coach and the coaching staff when the ball wasn't going in the basket. So today we were more calm, and then we came out and just answered.
We go now to the standings. Iona continued their winning ways and remained in first place, while Marist is a game behind them. Fairfield is in third and are a game up on fourth place Quinnipiac. Ryder and Canisius are in fifth and sixth. Niagara and Manhattan follow up in the next two spots, while Monmouth, Siena, and St. Peter's sit at the bottom of the standings.
Coming up next on Sports Paws, while the winter weather remains, the spring sports are getting underway. Find out how the men's lacrosse team performed against Brown in their season opener, and also senior day for the acrobatics and tumbling team. See how they fared against Baylor. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Qcash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The Quinnipiac men's lacrosse team was picked to finish 4th in the MAAC preseason poll as released by the head coaches on February 5th. Senior goalie Gil Connors and junior attack Mike Segal will represent the Bobcats on the all-MAAC preseason team. Now, for the 4th consecutive season, Quinnipiac opens its season against the Bears of Brown University. And let's go head out to the Quinnipiac turf field here on campus for Quinnipiac versus Brown, first lacrosse game of the year. Now, in the first quarter, right here, Brendan Cabuto receives the ball at the point, and it's Dylan Malloy who runs and scores the first point of the game for the Bears. They go up 1-0. Now, as we move on to the second quarter, Brown's defense, as we watch right here, Connor, they start to fall asleep a little bit right here. A bounce pass, and here comes Evan Walden out of nowhere and shoots and scores for the Bobcats. They tie Brown 2-2.
Quick release.
Yeah, quick release is definitely. But now later on in the second quarter, Brown is just going to answer right back. That's Sam Herster, who's going to go and score for the Bears, and they lead it 4-2. And let's move on to the third quarter as they finish their celebration. And Stephen Camille is going to eventually get the ball after some great passing by the Bears. And watch Tim Jacob, the sniper, and he is able to score as he's fallen to the ground. Brown's going up 5-2. Now the Bobcats are trying to fight back. Michael Segal is going to pass to Dylan Webster, and Webster is going to get the ball in the net for the Bobcats, but they still trail Brown 8-3. And Brown, as we go into the fourth quarter, it is just too much Brown, Connor. And as Camille is going to pass to Jacob right here for the goal to finish the deal for the Bears. Brown going up 11-5 at that point, but they're going to take home the victory 13-6.
The acrobatics and tumbling team had their second and final home meet of the season. They took on the Baylor Bears in what promised to be a close meet, and folks, this one did not disappoint. Our acrobatics and tumbling expert, Steph Fasano, has the story.
It was senior day here at Lender Court on Sunday afternoon. QU, the coaches, and Baylor ready for this competition. QU kicked off the competition with a beautiful compulsory acro in Heat 1. Kelsey Rule and Trisha Pierce, and with an amazing synchronized heel stretches to double downs. Moving into the compulsory tumbling, Baylor was clean, but fell short to the Bobcats with an 8.45. Both teams with a few steps and bent legs, but QU came ahead with an 8.65. In the acro round, Pierce started off with a beautiful acro series in her 6th element, with a full twist dismount and stuck landing. Baylor University also started out strong with a one-man base, with the flyer performing a half turn to another half turn to a release cartwheel out. Rule competed for the 7-element acro round and had a strong quarter turn switch up to heel stretch, but lost her balance on her tick-tock to Liberty and her bases couldn't catch her fall. She ended up with a low score of a 7.27. Moving into the pyramid round with QU leading 91.77 to 91.5, QU remained powerful like always through their pyramids with cradles caught high and clean lines. The Bears struggled in one of their heats and had a bad catch from their bases on the dismount. Going into the toss round, QU had a clean synchronized heat receiving a 9.7, tying Baylor. In the opening toss, Baylor couldn't get their flyer all the way around on her double twist and received a 9.4. The Bobcats had an incredible trio tumbling round with 3 amazing clean round-off back handsprings through to full and a half, receiving an amazing 9.4. Baylor newcomer freshman Kara Nolan competed in the opening tumbling round with a nearly perfect and effortless round-off back handspring full and a half step out through to round-off back handspring full and a half. For QU's open round, Rule competed a round-off full and a half step out through to round-off back handspring whip to full, close to the Bears but not enough, receiving a 9.78. Going into the team routine, Quinnipiac was trailing by only 0.08. The Bobcats battled it out to try and get back less than 1/10 to beat the Bears. QU pulled through with a score of a 101.92 to Baylor's team routine score of a 101.28.
The Quinnipiac University acrobatics and tumbling team have defeated the Baylor Bears here today at Lender Court with a score of 279.39 to 278.83. The Quinnipiac Bobcats will face Oregon and Azusa Pacific on March 10th at the University of Oregon. I'm Stephanie Fasano, Q30 Sports.
You know, Connor, those moves were just insane. I don't know how they do it.
Unbelievable athleticism.
Absolutely. So the Quinnipiac women's indoor and track and field team participated for the first time in the MAAC championships on Friday. The Bobcats finished the event with a total of 62 points and scored in 9 events to finish in 6th place out of the 8 competing teams. Sophomore Shamil Samuels became the first individual champion in program history with a first-place finish and program record time in the 400-meter dash. Now the team continues its season as they travel to Boston for the New England Championships on February 28th and March 1st.
The women's tennis team also had 2 matches on the road this weekend. In the first matchup, Quinnipiac won 4-3 as Rachel Horton won the deciding set for the Bobcats. In the second matchup, the Bobcats traveled to Maryland to take on the Delaware Blue Hens. Delaware took 5 of the 7 points and won the match. Quinnipiac falls to 2-4 with the loss. Now, it was an interesting week for Quinnipiac sports, wasn't it, Tom? Lots of up and down.
Oh, it absolutely was, Connor. As you just mentioned, a lot of big wins and big losses for all of the winter teams.
You know, that's all we have for tonight here on Sports Paws.
Absolutely. And for more information on our show, follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports.
And you can check out all of our sports coverage on our website at www.q30television.com, run here by Tom Albanese.
Oh, you're too kind, Connor. But he's Connor Voss, I'm Tom Albanese, and we'll see you next time on Sports Paws.